welcome everyone. My name's David Novak. I'm Vice President of Advancement for LSSI. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for Spring Fling, Buzzin' in the Kitchen. It is very good to see you. I'm filling in for a member of our Women's Network who was unable to join us at last minute, so I'll do my very best to fill her shoes. I'll also do my very best to try not to drizzle any honey on my laptop this evening. But Chef Jessica Dawson is here with us to teach a wonderful cooking class as we raise support and awareness for LSSI's Therapeutic Foster Care program. I would like to thank our Spring Fling committee members for their work planning this fun event. Thank you, Anita Canella, Patty Carroll, Karen Erickson, Linda Filatico, and Bonnie Lopez. Before we start cooking, I would like to share a brief video with you. Funds raised this evening and throughout this week's event will support LSSI's Therapeutic Foster Care program. LSSI is the largest statewide provider of foster care in Illinois, a leader in traditional foster care, and a pioneer in therapeutic foster care in Illinois, a groundbreaking program serving children with histories of severe trauma and emotional and behavioral needs. This is a cause that is so near and dear to our hearts at LSSI, and a program that has been supported by the Women's Network since therapeutic foster care was piloted at LSSI over 5 years ago. The program has grown in the Chicago area and Rockford, and this year is expanding to Central Illinois. This program and its growth is made possible with your support through the work of dedicated staff members and thanks to LSSI's incredible foster parents. Foster parents open their homes and their lives to children who have experienced trauma and instability. It is a challenging and rewarding role. We would like to share some of their experiences with you today and show you through this video how therapeutic foster care is making a difference in children's lives.
My name is Nina Bush, and I am the Program Director for Lutheran Social Services of Illinois' Peoria office. The Therapeutic Foster Care program started approximately 5 years ago at Lutheran Social Services, and we are now up to 5 teams. The children are facing various issues or behaviors. It might be issues related to their mental health, trauma, or behaviors that are exhibiting from mental health, such as physical aggression, verbal aggression, or self-harming behaviors.
My name is Yvette Stringer. My husband is Raymond Stringer, and we are therapeutic foster parents for Lutheran Social Services of Illinois. I had a little experience with the traditional fostering. What got me started with therapeutic is because once I learned about it when the program started, I just really enjoyed the different kind of rules. And I would give you an example. Not chasing on the child if they run, but to be able to speak with them from a distance, non-threatening with your hands held back or folded or whatever, and not pulling on them and, trying to get them where you want them to be. I love that. That's kind of the way I worked anyway, so that was my favorite thing about that program.
When a child moves into the therapeutic foster home, they have the team almost within the home. So they don't live in the home with their team. They live in a regular home environment with caregivers that emulate parental figures. And then they have the support system that comes into the home to provide services on a schedule. They're making contact with the children on a weekly or multi-week basis.
My name is Ian Cates. I am a TFC skills coach and TFC resource worker. AB is a wonderful young man. He is very smart and full of a lot of energy. He very much understands what he does and does not like in life. And the things that I work with him on a weekly basis are working on being able to express those kinds of things. Many of the ways that he expresses things are youthful and in a non-verbal way. And so I very often work with him on saying yes, saying no, simple things like that in those kind of social skills and those life skills where verbalizing what you need and what you want in life is very important.
They're setting up individualized therapeutic plans for the child placed in the home that fits the needs of the individual child. So it's not a cookie cutter therapeutic approach. It really looks at the individual needs using the TFC model. And it is a model that's actually used internationally. So even New Zealand has TFC foster homes and a TFC program. But what the TFC model does is a structured therapeutic model that utilizes a child therapist, a family therapist, and a team lead, as well as a skills coach, a caseworker, into the home with the therapeutic foster parents to provide varying supports.
I enjoy the gratitude after they get through the really, really hard times. And when you can start seeing that, they trust you now. They feel comfortable in your home. They feel like they're able to, talk more and be honest more, because it's all about communication. And so once they feel like they're comfortable and they're a part of that, that really warms my heart.
The need in Illinois is not unknown. We have residential facilities with long wait lists, and we have children that are waiting for extra therapeutic support that are not getting it in a timely fashion. We are meeting that need in collaboration with DCFS and the other private agencies throughout the state of Illinois.
The skills coach works with current foster families and the kids that they have placed in their homes. But as a resource worker, I'm always working towards finding new families and new people because foster care is something that is always has a demand.
If you got the time, the space, and the love, you can do this too, because there's so many children that really need that.
Therapeutic foster care has an amazing success rate. 73% of children who enter the program have long-term stability in one single home. So really being able to support the community and support the families in our community and the children who need that extra support so they can be stable and re-enter our community is very important.
When you're doing it right and you're doing it from the heart, you're helping someone. And if you can get one and get it positive and get them back home, you've done your part.
Oh, that was beautiful. LSSI's Therapeutic Foster Care program has a lifelong impact on children and families. Thank you for supporting this important work today. And at the end of this class, we will hear from Lisa Seymour, Program Director at LSSI Rockford. I always look forward to hearing her stories about the life-changing work of LSSI. And now I would like to introduce you to our instructor for tonight, Chef Jessica Dawson. Jessica is a chef, teacher, and photographer who began her career with nationally acclaimed chef Gail Gann when she was just 14 years old. The two chefs co-founded Kitchen Sisters Cooking School and offer in-person and virtual cooking classes for both adults and children. Since Jessica's career began, she has traveled the world, attending culinary school in both Italy and the US, and was the youngest person ever hired to work as a traveling America's Test Kitchen host. We are lucky to have her with us today. I'd like to remind everyone to please keep your mic muted throughout the class. If you do have questions, you can submit them through the chat. If you are comfortable keeping your camera on, I really encourage you to do so, as it's really good to see all of you and all of our friends and to cook together from afar. So Chef Jessica, thank you so much for being here. We are excited to get started. So with that, I will turn things over to you.
Thank you. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. How many people are cooking with me? Show of hands. How many people are cooking? Okay, amazing. So tonight, I'm just so glad you're here. There are 150 people who signed up. 150 people to support the cause. That's amazing. That's just absolutely amazing. And 150 people will be enjoying this at their tables tonight. More probably, right? Because you're feeding people. So I just love thinking about that. And I'm so glad to be here and so honored to be here with you again this year. And this time we are cooking a springtime dinner. So we're going to do like a springtime pasta. We're going to do a spiced carrot gazpacho and one of my favorites, strawberry shortcake. So, and with the whipped cream, has anyone ever had salted honey whipped cream before? It is so good. I know you guys got like the cutest little packs of honey, and mine is on the way. So I'll celebrate when mine's here. But the first thing we're going to get started with will be, we're going to start with the gazpacho because that's a cold soup. And so we're going to want that to be cold by the time you're enjoying it. The next thing we'll do will be the salad dressing. So just to give you kind of the lay of the land. Next, we'll go to dessert because dessert should be before dinner, right? That's probably not the order you'll eat in, but we'll start by making the dessert, get those in the oven or biscuits. And then we'll finish by making the pasta, and then everything will come together really fast after that. And that was a great introduction, but to tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm qualified to teach with you, I was in Michelin kitchens for years. That's one of the things not in my bio. So I did fine dining, I did white tablecloths for a long time. I traveled the world as an America's Test Kitchen host on cruise ships. So teaching the science behind cooking for years. And I'm currently in Alaska. So I'm currently in Alaska as a pastry chef. And I jumped between 3 boats for a small boat company called Uncruise. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're like small adventure boats where there's 22 to 88 people. So I'm bringing the joy of dessert to the boats. And I'm very lucky in my time off that I get to like kayak by the glaciers and do running in Juneau, and I get to see the salmon run later again this year. So very excited to be there. I'm very excited to be here for a short week. But let's get started. So the first thing we're going to make is our carrot gazpacho. And I know that there were like emails sent. I have everything already measured out. So if you don't, the pacing might be a little bit off for you. If you do, then we're all going to kind of move and groove together, grab a glass of wine or a cocktail, whatever you want to enjoy the cooking. But the first thing we're going to do is that carrot gazpacho. So I'm going to move you a little bit. I have a blender out. So you're going to need either like a blender or you'll need like a food processor. If you have like one of the soup blenders, one of the like wand blenders, you can use that too. That's a little bit less powerful, but it will work for you. All right. So into my blender. And in this last year during COVID, everything slowed down, right? And so I ended up, and we're going to add all of our ingredients in. I ended up getting a camper van. And I've been traveling since November. And you know what I brought? The first thing I packed? My Vitamix. Would that be the first thing that you would pack? Anybody? Yeah? Oh, I see some affirming nods. Thank you very much. Okay, so my Vitamix, and I don't regret it. So into my Vitamix, I'm going, any blender with my carrots, and I've just peeled them and I've chopped them to make it a little bit easier for my Vitamix to digest. And that's 16 ounces. So 1 pound of carrots are going in. Now, before you get ahead of me, so for the coconut milk, I'm not going to dump all of it. I'm going to leave just a little bit in the can because I'm going to garnish with it. So that's an option. You don't have to, but I'm going to garnish the top of my gazpacho. So I'm going to put almost all of it. I'm going to leave just a little bit. And like that thicker part, that's what I'm going to kind of use. I'll like blend it with the thinner part, and that's going to go and drizzle right on top. So saving that. Now, next you can put your lemongrass paste in. And was anyone unable to find lemongrass paste? So in Illinois, usually it's actually pretty easy to find. In California, where I'm at, it was not. And so I'm going to be adding a little bit of ginger. So maybe like a tablespoon and a half of ginger, worth of ginger. And I've just like really gently peeled it, lightly peeled it. I'm going to pop that in my blender too. If you omit it completely and you can't find it, that's okay. If you have like a lemon or a lime and you want to squeeze a little bit in, or you can add a little bit extra vinegar, that's fine too. So carrots, coconut milk, our olive oil. So 2 tablespoons of olive oil are going in. 1, 2. And just a note on the olive oil, I always have 2 different kinds of olive oil in my house and my van. So I make room for it because you have like olive oil that you cook with, right? And those are the bigger bottles. They're pretty inexpensive. And then you have the more expensive bottles of olive oil that are like more bitter and aromatic. And so I always have 2. And if you have 2 and you have a better bottle, use that for this recipe. So use that for this recipe and use that for your salad dressing. So 2 tablespoons went in, 2 tablespoons now of sherry vinegar. If you can't find sherry vinegar, you can use raspberry, like a raspberry vinegar. You could use a white vinegar. Just as long as you're making it, right? You can use a balsamic vinegar if you must, which is what I'm doing. That's usually I have like 4 kinds of vinegars, but because I'm leaving for the summer for Alaska, so I'll be gone for like 4 or 5 months, I've given away all of my vinegars. So in goes the vinegar, 2 tablespoons of vinegar, 2 tablespoons of curry paste. So just that red curry paste. This is probably what everyone got. It's a 4-ounce container. So you're going to need half of it. So 2 ounces are going in. Measured exactly, right? I'm joking. You don't have to. It's kind of by taste. It's by what feels right in your heart. Now, the next thing we're going to add is half of a cup of water.
Jessica, we have a quick question. Is sherry cooking wine the same as sherry vinegar?
Sherry cooking wine is not the same, but it has that flavor profile. So if you want to use that with like a splash of white vinegar, you can. Good question.
Thank you.
Yes, good question. So I just added half of a cup of water, and then we're just going to do like a pinch or 2 of salt. And when I say a pinch or 2, I almost always do 2. Like I like my everything seasoned well. So I'm going to do a nice portion of salt. I'm going to make sure that my lid is on before I turn it on. I've done this in restaurants before, and other like line cooks have too. So it's actually a thing. Like you get going so fast that you forget to make sure it's secure. Make sure yours is secure. Okay. And then I put it on the lowest setting. I'm going to start it. And you want to get it really nice and blended. So go ahead and really let it blend for like a minute. Ooh, that smells good. Okay. Ooh, and it's so pretty. I'm going to put in a glass bowl. So it's going directly into the fridge, but I want to put it in a glass bowl. If you have a metal bowl, it will cool faster. So go ahead and put it in a metal bowl if you have one. What I have is glass, so that's what I'll use. But I want to show you the color on this. Okay, do you see how pretty that is? I love this gazpacho. It's such a nice bright orange. Okay. And then I'm gonna try a little. Oh, so good. So good. Okay. And we want this to be cold. So when you're trying it, bear in mind, it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be almost it will have a little bit of texture. This is not a completely smooth cold soup. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, so into the fridge it goes. And if you feel like it's not going to get cold enough in your fridge, you can absolutely put it in a larger bowl with ice. So you can put it in a larger bowl with ice to kind of cool it down. You could also pop it in your freezer for like 10-15 minutes to start the process. Take it out and put it in your fridge. So you know your fridge best. If it cools fast, pop it in the fridge. I'm gonna pop mine in the freezer and we'll take it out in about 10 minutes. And the gazpacho is done. So course number 1 is finished. And that's kind of like the palate cleanser. That's what you're starting dinner with. I got out 2 different options for what I'll serve it in, just to make it kind of fun, right? So I have like these cute small bowls, or I have these cute bowls that look kind of like cupcakes. And so this isn't something big that you're serving. Like you're not serving a whole big bowl of this. You're gonna serve like small, cute bowls to people of this. And then next to them, I just have, you can have your sesame seeds. I have my parsley, so my fresh parsley that I've just chopped up. This is what I'm going to garnish with at that. Okay. Amazing. Okay, moving on. How are we doing? Thumbs up? Are we together? Okay, awesome. Let me, I see we have a lot of people, so thumbs up if you're doing well. I'm switching between the screens. Ooh, oh, awesome. Awesome. Okay. Okay, great. Yay. Good job, you guys. So next we're going to go for our vinaigrette. We're going to do our salad dressing next. So go ahead and grab your ingredients for that. So we need our olive oil. And again, I'm going to use good olive oil for this. You need.
Sorry,
Sure.
just a quick question before we move on to the salad dressing. Susan wants to know what the consistency should be for the gazpacho. Should it be chunky or fully smooth?
That's a good question. It will be a little chunky still. So you will have little chunks. You're never going to get it completely smooth unless you passed it through like a sieve, which is not what you go for with gazpacho. You kind of want a little bit of texture. Good question. Okay. So I'm going to get everything out for my salad dressing. And this salad dressing uses Greek yogurt. So this is not like a vinaigrette where you're like madly whisking in olive oil. You know, like you're not madly whisking in olive oil and the vinegar to like try to make it come together, because oil and basically water, they don't mix, right? Because we have yogurt, everything's going to mix really nicely. It's going to be really creamy and delish. So Greek yogurt. Okay. I grabbed one with coconut milk and I'm like, ooh, that'll be interesting and fun. Which actually, I think it will be really good because the gazpacho that we've done has coconut milk in it. So it'll be a nice kind of, like you're thinking the same thought as you've made the meal, right? My subconscious thought the same thought. Okay. So I'm gonna go with 1/2 cup of yogurt. Lick the spoon, right? That's what I do with frosting too. Okay. Yogurt. 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. And this is something like if you wanted to measure this by eye, you can do that. I try when I can to kind of lead cooks to like being more intuitive, right? So like if you feel something, if you want more salt, if you want more pepper, if you want more sweet, add more maple syrup. If you want less, add less. You know, like do what you like to do, because if you're a good taster, you're a good cooker. So good tasters make great cooks. So we have a half a cup of Greek yogurt, a quarter of a cup of extra virgin olive oil. Next, add the 4 tablespoons of maple syrup in. So 4 tablespoons of maple syrup and 1 clove of garlic. Now, let's say that you didn't have maple syrup. You can use honey. You could absolutely use honey. You could use brown sugar. You could use white sugar. You can sub the kind of sweetener that you use. So I've put in, I had my garlic, so I minced my garlic right before class and I just popped it in this bowl. But I popped in my garlic, which was 1 clove, and then your 4 tablespoons of maple syrup.
Jessica, is shaved garlic the same thing as minced garlic?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you can do either or. You can mince it or you can shave it. If you shave it and use like, I'll show you. If you use a microplane like this, it's really thin. It's going to be a more intense garlic flavor. If you mince it, you're puncturing less cells, which means it's going to be a little bit less intense. Now, if you prepped this 2 hours ago and you minced it, it's going to be way more intense than if you mince it and put it in, because the flavor of the garlic will continue to develop. Okay. Next, we are going to add our lemon juice. So 4 tablespoons of lemon juice are going in. And in California, we're very lucky. There are like lemons everywhere. There's oranges everywhere. There are grapefruits that I pick in the morning for myself. So I'm very lucky here. I got this lemon myself. Okay. And it just feels different, right? Does anyone have gardens in the summertime? Like eating your own food tastes different. It feels different. And I think just knowing that you can take care of yourself in that way is really cool. Like knowing that you can grow your food and knowing and kind of seeing something from birth and from a seed to full grown. Okay, so lemon has gone in. Next, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. If you have a grater, absolutely grate yours. I like the bite of it when I can grate mine. So when you have a grater, go ahead and do that. Again, I've packed everything up for when I leave. So everything is like plastic wrapped and like ready. Things are given away. So freshly grated pepper is what I would suggest here. And then just go ahead and whisk everything together.
Jessica, someone has asked about the butter lettuce. That's what you recommended for the salad. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, I just like butter lettuce. Like I was saying, like tasters make good cooks because they know what they like. I like butter lettuce for this. I think that the leaves, after you've added the dressing, they pretty quickly absorb the dressing, which I like. You could absolutely use a different kind of dressing though. So it's all up to you. And like butter lettuce makes me feel and think of spring. That's another part of it. I'm going to try mine. Ooh, I like it. I'm going to add a little bit more salt. Did anyone see that coming? I'm going to add a little bit more salt. Salt is kind of like the kid on the playground that gets like the boys and the girls to play together. It like makes all of the ingredients work nicely together. So salt and sugar are kind of those ingredients. Oh, so yum. And it's kind of sweet, which I love. I got coconut yogurt. And so that's going to go really nicely and it's going to pair nicely with the radishes that I cut up. So I have radishes that I cut up. And the radishes are going to go over it. You can dress your salad with anything you want. today is a radish day for us. So I've just put it in this really nice container. I've like kind of stacked the lettuce around, which I love. Anytime you can make it kind of like fun and showy at the table, I say do it. So I'm gonna pop both of these into the fridge. Our dressing is done, our salad is ready to go and ready to be tossed when we're ready. So don't toss it yet, toss it right before you serve it. Okay. All right, how are we feeling? Feeling good? I see some like finger licking going. I see some people dancing. Okay, I like it. All right, so next, let's go ahead and preheat our oven to 450 degrees. Biscuits are happening next. 450. I know that's high. A lot of people are used to setting it at 350. Somebody in the audience is gonna thank me. Anything you store in your oven, take it out. Does anyone else do that? You turn it on and you're like, oh gosh, there goes my cast iron pan. Anything you store, take it out of your oven now. And I'm just gonna do kind of a quick scene change. So if that's what, I know that's what you're probably doing too. So go ahead and like give your counter a wipe, bring in the ingredients for the biscuits. We're gonna do the biscuits first, then we'll whip the cream. Biscuits first, whip the cream later.
We have a question from Lizanne. Should it go on the middle rack?
Lizanne, yes. Yep, you can do middle rack or you can do like 3/4 of the way up. So depending on how you have it, but we don't usually do bottom rack with baking. I don't know about you, but that's how I've burned a lot. For some reason, the way that the oven bakes, or my ovens have always baked, my oven on the bottom has always kind of heated too hot. So usually the rule of thumb is to go in the middle or like 3/4 of the way up, not all the way up, but 3/4 of the way up. So either or will be good. All right, scene change, let's go. Oh, and grab your strawberries and brown sugar as well. Strawberries and brown sugar you'll need as well. And we'll actually do the strawberries and brown sugar first. I am so excited for this dinner. Do not even know. I have like a household awaiting this dinner. They are so excited. Okay. So strawberries, I have them cut up. It's like 1.5 pounds of strawberries. And I've just cut them into quarters. When I had like really big strawberries, I cut them into like 6, but that's kind of up to you. I also snacked on them along the way. Anyone else, were you snacking on your strawberries? As you should. Everyone should. Okay, so 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, go right in. If you don't have brown sugar and you want to use white sugar, do it. Same ratio, 3 tablespoons. I like the flavor of brown sugar with this. I prefer brown sugar with strawberries. It makes me think of like childhood and my mom. Like when you were little, did your mom ever make, they're like full strawberries and then you dip them in sour cream and then you dip them in brown sugar. Did anyone's mom or grandma do that? Oh, that's what this makes me think of. And every time I'm just pleased by it. So go ahead, add the sugar. And just toss, and as you toss it, it's still gonna look really sugary. That's okay. The sugar is hygroscopic, so it's gonna pull the juices out of the strawberry and make us this really nice sauce later. That's why I went for like strawberry shortcake, you do this in advance.
Jessica, we have another question from the chat. Do you have any tips for keeping your brown sugar soft?
Nope. Closing it all the way. That's kind of it. You can, like, once it's really hard, I know you can microwave it and get it back. I usually give up, honestly. I usually give up and I go for a new one. So I just try to really like package it tightly and I put it in a Ziploc bag too. But I'll let you know if I ever find the answer, I'll email you as soon as I do, as soon as I know.
Sounds good. In the chat, Tammy says she stores hers in the fridge and it seems to work.
You can do that. I'm like not hesitant to, I just choose not to. And the reason why is because sugar again is hygroscopic, and in the fridge there's a lot of moisture, so it kind of pulls that in. So there's something in me that's resistant to storing any sugar in the fridge. But did you see my fridge like swing back open? The fridge agrees. But that's just that's my preference on that. Okay, so our strawberries are done. Let's go ahead and make our biscuits. Grab a medium to large bowl. Just something to stir. It could be a wooden spoon, it could be a spatula, doesn't matter. And a baking sheet. And if you have like a regular size baking sheet, that works great. I'm going to spray mine, or you can use parchment paper, either or. Okay. And so into our bowl, we're going to go with our flour. So 3 cups of flour. So basically all of the dry ingredients are going into the bowl. We're going to whisk those together, and then you're going to go ahead and add the cream. So 1, 2, 3. 3 cups of flour, and that's just all-purpose flour that I'm using. 4 teaspoons of sugar. And for anyone who doesn't know, 1 tablespoon equals 3 teaspoons. So I'm going to do 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon. Okay. And it's so funny, when I'm in Europe, usually people, like a lot of people give me a lot of grief about how we use measuring cups and how we use teaspoons and tablespoons. But then when I'm on a boat, it's funny because I have my recipes usually in both. So I'll have like teaspoons and tablespoons, but I'll also have weight. And when you're going like this, from side to side, you can't use scales. It's not possible. And so I've like thanked myself over and over for having kind of both options. So flour, sugar, 1 tablespoon of baking powder. And baking powder is double acting, which means it's going to rise when we add liquid, and then it's going to give them an additional rise when it hits heat. So that's what double acting means. Then we're going to add our baking soda, which is just 1/4 teaspoon. Quarter of a teaspoon. Salt, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. One and a half teaspoons, exactly. And then we're going to go ahead and whisk it or stir it together, but make sure that you do a nice job stirring it together because we want that baking powder really evenly distributed. So give it a really good, nice stir or whisk. And last but not least, we're gonna add our cream. So 2.5 cups of cream are going to go in. And I left mine in the fridge just because we're gonna be whipping the other part of it, and it whips a lot easier when it's cold. The reason for that is that when it's cold, it's gonna hold on to the air bubbles a lot easier than when it's warm. When it's warm, it wants to let those go. All right, heavy cream. I know what I'm thinking of. In college, I went to Culinary Institute of America in New York, in Poughkeepsie. And we were opening heavy cream, and students started throwing it out by the masses. They just started pouring them. And they were like, oh no, they're bad, they're bad. And I said, stop, stop. And my chef, his face just went blank. And I said, stop, don't do that. And on the top of cream, especially when it's good cream, there's like a thick layer of cream that's not liquid. And they thought it went bad because there was this thick layer. So if you ever have a thick layer of cream on top, smell it, see if it smells good, but it should be fine. It's not the thick layer that's like an indication that it's gone bad. It's actually great. So, and we're going with 2.5 cups of heavy cream. 1, 2, and a half. Okay. Awesome. Gonna give it a stir. Gonna move the heavy cream before I knock it off my counter. I just want to stir this together. And I've made biscuits. I've made these biscuits in my van before too. So like if I can make it in a van, you can make it at home. They're just so easy because you're not like carefully adding the butter in and bringing it to pea size. You just do it until it's all mixed together like a dough. And then you can stop mixing. You can taste if you so choose. That looks great. I see someone holding it up. Looks great. Gosh, I love these. Know what I didn't add? I didn't add sugar. That's why you taste everything. I did this while I was camping too. I was camping and I made these biscuits. Okay. There we go. Yeah, taste everything. Sugar added. Just gonna mix it. There we go. Taste it, mix, taste. Oh yeah, the sugar's been added. Okay. So next I'm just gonna go ahead and flour my surface really lightly. You don't need a lot of flour here. A little bit of flour, and then add the biscuits right on. Add a little bit of flour to your hands before you start to kind of spread this out. A little bit of flour is on my hands, and then you want it in a rectangle. And I added a little bit of flour. If anyone wasn't looking at the screen, I added a little bit of flour right over the dough, just so that I could work with it a little bit better. So we're looking for like 6 by 9 inches is what we're looking for. and then we're just gonna cut them. So we're making a rectangle, and then we're gonna use a chef knife. And on the chef knife, I'm just gonna flour it a little bit so it doesn't stick, but go in the center, and be careful with your counter here, but just ever so gently go down and make an incision halfway across. So horizontally, halfway between the top and the bottom. And then we're gonna make 3 divisions. So 3 more for a total of 6 biscuits. So 1, 2, 3. And if you want to kind of work it into looking more square, if yours are not, you can do that. And I'm going to pop them in my pan. So that one was a little like more rectangular, so I've just like pushed it to make it a little bit more square.
Jessica, can you cut them smaller, or will that mess with the baking time?
Do it. It will mess with the baking time. You will probably want to pull them sooner, but do it. Yeah, absolutely. Make them, you are the chef of your kitchen. If you have many people that you want to feed, or if you like want to portion control it, absolutely cut it a little bit smaller. Okay. Cute. Oh, I love making these. Spring has me a little sneezy. Whew. Okay. So I'm going to give my counter a wipe. Try to get the dough off, so you can use like a bench scraper, you could use a tablespoon, you can use anything, but if you get the dough off first, it's going to be so much easier to scrape this. Great. That looks good. Like making space for myself now. Okay. So the next move, if you want to, you can add, just to get a little bit more color on your biscuits, you can add a little bit of heavy cream if you have like a pastry brush in your kitchen. And just like a dash, you know, you don't have to pour a lot into your bowl. Like I poured maybe a tablespoon. So very little, but I'm just going to brush it over each biscuit. And that's just going to add a little bit of color. It's the same way that people will do like egg wash over it if you wanted to make an egg wash. But we have heavy cream, so that's what we'll use.
Chef Jessica, we have an anonymous question. Someone would like to know what would happen if they may or may not have put too much baking soda into their dough.
Anonymous, that's a good question. Can you tell me how much extra you put in? Type it into the chat if you know how much extra. And while we're waiting for that answer, you guys, if you want to add sugar on top, so it can be like the thicker sugar, like turbinado sugar, which is beautiful on top of these. Or you can just add a little bit of like white granulated sugar, which will kind of like caramelize them, and it adds a nice crunch. All right, how much extra do we have? Drum roll, please.
All right, it looks like He says, I put the amount for the baking powder and then tried to scoop it out. So it sounds like as much baking powder as you're supposed to put in, that's how much baking soda was added.
No, I think baking powder again, right? Not if that's right. I love fixing stuff because in professional kitchens, that's what we're always doing. We're like putting out fires. And this is something I was always very good at when I was in like traditional fine dining restaurants, because I always knew what you should or shouldn't do.
All right.
So I put in a tablespoon of soda and then realized it should have been powder. So then I had already put those ingredients in, and then I tried to scoop the baking soda out, but I think I ended up putting more baking soda in. So sorry, I'm hijacking the Zoom, but I'm just curious what kind of baking reaction that'll have.
This is why we're here together. No, let's see how it goes, and let me know. Let me know and we'll see. So we'll circle back to you at the end. And that was perfect timing. So thank you for your question. Now it's time to go into the oven. Mine just did a ding, which means that it's ready. So we're gonna go right in. And let's see. So 15 to 20 minutes is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna pop it in, and again, that's like the middle rack or middle rack or like 3/4 of the way up. I'm gonna set my timer. And so if you're going in at the same time as me right now, you can listen for my timer or you can set your own, either or. I'm gonna start mine at 15 minutes. And so when I was working, I love to tell this story. If you were here last year, I may have told you, but when I worked for America's Test Kitchen, they test equipment too. And so there was a day that Christy, one of the bosses, had brought in thermometers for the oven. So she brought in, there was a pile of thermometers on the middle table. And they said, everyone grab one, bring it home. Set your oven tonight to 350. This is their homework, right? This is so freaking cool. Set your oven to 350, keep the timer, or keep the thermometer, but come back and tell us what it registered at. And so professional test cooks, they ranged, set at 350 each oven, between 320 degrees Fahrenheit to 390. That's huge. I mean, and these are professionals and these are their ovens, right? And so everyone knows how their oven cooks best. So if you know that your oven cooks faster, set your timer for less time. If you know that it cooks slower, you're going to be longer than me or someone else, and that's okay too. The reason that happens is because our ovens are constantly calibrating. They're constantly, so they don't just stay at one temperature. You open the door, you close it, and even when you're not, it's basically turning itself off to regulate the heat. So it will do that, and that's okay. But some people, their oven likes to stay at the lower end, some likes to stay at the higher end, and some people are just really lucky to have great ovens. And if you need to get it recalibrated, that's something where you do have to call your company and let them know, hey, my oven's not calibrated, and they will come fix it for you, or should. Tell them that they need to. But that's something that you would have to look into with your individual oven company. And I see a question right now. I haven't been seeing them, but I see, do you like electric or gas? I cook with everything. It doesn't matter to me. What does matter to me and what makes a huge difference for me is when it's convection. So if you set your oven for convection and it's blowing, the air is blowing and it's blowing and it's blowing, it creates cookies that aren't dense. Has anyone noticed that? You get light, airier cakes, but the cookies you make aren't as dense. You have to cook 25 degrees lower. So if the recipe says 350 and you have a convection oven, you have to cook it 25 degrees lower, which is pretty huge and pretty significant. So I prefer conventional ovens if we're talking ovens. Okay, so pasta's next. We're just flying by. How is everyone doing? Are you feeling good? Do you have wine? Cocktails, I see someone drinking it. Love that. Nice. Cheers, everyone. Okay, awesome. Pasta's next. And so I want you to turn your water. So go ahead, get a big pot of water on. And I want you to set it at the highest gauge. So we want this water to boil. If you have a lid, put that lid on. And do not stare at it, because if you stare at your water, it will never boil. It's just a fact, especially if you have like an audience of 200 or 300 people on ships. That would always happen. Like the burners were always low and it would just like take a painfully long time to boil. Sometimes I would show up to the kitchen like 2 hours early to make sure that it was boiling. But we have home kitchens, so it will be good. All right, I'm gonna move this out of here. All right. And the way that I've arranged, and the way I would suggest that you arrange, is so next to your pot with boiling water, if you want to put the creme fraiche, put the pasta that you're gonna need. I put the dried tarragon that I'm gonna use, and I put the herbs. So everything that goes in after the pasta's done. And it's kind of a 3-part recipe. So we're gonna cook the vegetables in a different pan. You could use a cast iron, you could use a pot, you can use anything that you have, but do something that's bigger for these vegetables because you want them to cook faster and more evenly, and you don't want them to just steam in the pan. So I have a cast iron out for that. So it's a 3-part recipe. We have the pasta that we're gonna cook. And while that pasta is cooking, or right before it, we're gonna do our vegetables. So we'll start with our vegetables, we'll cook those. Then we're going to taste them for seasoning, make sure we added enough salt, make sure we added enough pepper, set them aside. Then we're gonna be cooking our pasta. Cook it. If you have fresh pasta, it takes like 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes, and it's done. If you are using boxed pasta, it takes probably like 8, 9, 10 minutes. And that's what I could find here. So that's what I'm going to use. And so after that pasta is done, we're going to drain it. And then we're going to pop it back in that pot. So same pot, don't get rid of it. Put it back on the stove, put your pasta back into it. Then you're going to dump in all of your vegetables. And then that's when you add your creme fraiche. We're gonna add that like tarragon and those herbs, and we're gonna mix them up. The Parmigiano Reggiano as well will be grated into there when we're doing that stuff. And if you feel that you want to grate extra, I say you should absolutely do it. That's something that you have to feel with your heart. But a question I want to ask. Oh, great question, Barb. So the reserved water, we are going to reserve water. So to remind yourself, put a measuring cup. Thank you, Barb. You are a hero. Put your reserved water. This is starchy water, so it's not something that you can just like get later. Have your colander and put a measuring cup inside it so that you remember that you need this. Because that starchy water, we're going to add a little bit into the pasta when we're stirring, which is going to make this nice and saucy with the cheese. And the starch is activated by stirring. So if you like add the water in and you're like, oh no, why is it so soupy? I did something wrong. You did nothing wrong. You just need to keep stirring. So add that in. And let me see how much I tell you to reserve. 1/2 cup. Yeah, so a 1/2 cup of water is what we're going to reserve. Thank you, Barb.
Question from Susan, what is a ramp?
Oh, yes, thank you, Susan. I have so many good sous chefs here. So a ramp is, especially in the Midwest, we have these ramps grow in Canada too. And it's like It's like, it looks like a green onion, but it's not. It's a springtime onion. That's what they call it. It has a really short window, a short season. Chef Gail Gand, who I work with and I own Kitchen Sisters Cooking School with, which is how I'm working with you, is Gail has a business where she does ramps. So she picks ramps and she brings them to some of the best restaurants in Chicago. So a lot of times, if you've seen ramps on a menu in Chicago, a lot of times people are getting them from Gail. And when I was younger, especially, and when I was home a lot, we would pick them together. So you pick them, they grow in the wild. You have to do it sustainably though, because they will disappear basically if you don't. So you have to chop off the ramp. And so again, it looks like a green onion. There's roots on the bottom of it, and you have to leave part of that in the ground so that they'll grow again next year. Or you can pick them kind of in clumps, if you will. But yeah, that's what it is. And you would use only the white part for this. If you didn't have that, you could use either a shallot, you could use a green onion. They're super tasty. And I think that we love them. And the allure of them is really that it's hard to find them. It's kind of like truffles, right? Like it's hard to find them. And when you do, it's such a mark of spring. And to me, because I helped pick them all the time, it's a huge mark of spring. So if you got them, amazing. Sometimes stores have them too, but if you didn't, shallots are delicious and shallots will work. And I always get the question with shallots, like I call for 2 shallots. Well, people ask me, is this one shallot? Or when you cut it open, you can see, sometimes it's easier to see than others, but there are 2 lumps in it. And are these 2 shallots? That's always the question, right? And every chef will give you a different answer. Every chef will kind of say what they feel, and they'll say it in a really self-assured kind of way. To me, I almost always get like extra shallot. I love shallots. I love the taste of them. I'll get extra. So I'll do 2 bulbs of it. It's something that you have to feel with your heart and do what you want. And then you'll have you'll have a self-assured way too, where you'll be like, oh, this is definitely the answer. But the true answer is it's whatever you want. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and peel, and look, oh my gosh, I have like 3 that have fit into this shallot. So this is just affirming what I'm saying. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, use more. Definitely use more. Okay, but I'm just gonna peel them and cut them. But everything else I have prepped. I just wanted to show you really fast too the asparagus and the way I prepare that. So give me just 1 second. I'm gonna add my extra shallot. And I even love the smell of them. Gosh. Shallots, what I love about shallots is that they're like in the onion family. They're still onion-y, but they're just so much sweeter, and I feel like they're so much more complex. Okay. Grab the rest of it. And then I just saved 2 of these, like 2 asparagus heads, because I wanted to show you the easiest way to do this. Sometimes even restaurants, I see that they'll give people the whole thing. I don't want the whole thing. And here's why I don't want the whole thing. If you take it in your 2 hands, you break it. And there's a natural place where it breaks because this is too stringy to eat. It's too stringy. It's kind of like chicken wings. This is a really unpopular belief, but I don't want to work for my food if I'm going to a restaurant. I don't want to work too hard. And so if people are giving me asparagus with a stringy part that I can't eat, I don't enjoy that. So at home too, you always take that off, and you can do it with the whole bunch. So you can do it with a whole bunch of asparagus at the same time, but you just break it and it will naturally break in the spot that is too kind of fibrous and too chewy for you to eat. Even after you've cooked it, it's never going to be not too chewy. So just do the work now, cut it off. And then I like to cook this. I think everyone thinks things are fancier on biases. And so you can like raise the cost of a dish at a restaurant because you've cut something on a bias. So I just think at home you should do it too. But with asparagus, I'll just like put the asparagus horizontal, and then I'll put the tip of my knife towards the corner, the left corner of the board, because I'm right-handed. And then I'll just cut these. And I just think they're beautiful, and your family will too. When I'm cutting the asparagus too, I like to leave as much of the heads intact as possible. So I'll kind of leave those bigger. We're ready to transition over to the stove. So here we go. Thanks for coming with me. All right, to the stove. So our water is almost boiling. I'm manifesting the boiling. It's almost there. But I have my cast iron. And again, you don't have to use a cast iron. You could use a big pan, a big pot, anything that you have and want. But something smaller isn't going to be great because it's going to steam the vegetables. And that's not what we're looking for. We're kind of looking for them to like steam off at the same time instead of having like layers of it that are cooked and layers that aren't. So a bigger pan is ideal here. You're going to add the 3 tablespoons of butter to the pan. Oh, that's our timer. Cool. Okay. Okay, timer. Let's see. See how our biscuits are looking. Ooh. This pan was way too small, but that's okay. All right, so that's what mine look like. I want them to be more golden brown. These are not done. I'm gonna pop them back in, but gosh, do they smell good. So back in the oven. I'm gonna go for another like 5 to 6 minutes on mine. So you guys will decide how long you're gonna set your timers for. This is where, ooh, that looks good. Hey, they rose, Barb. That looks great. Okay, so anybody who wanted to know if you added like extra baking soda and like scooped some out, it's fine. It works. Okay, so 5 more minutes, mine are going in. Okay, butter is melting. I'm gonna need like a spoon or something. Grab yourself a wooden spoon or some kind of spatula. Spatula. My butter is melting in my pan right now. Ooh, butter. I love it. I really do. Okay. My twin brother and I, when we were little, my mom would come up and she would be so upset because she would find little fingers in the butter. We would leave butter out. And she'd find little things. I don't know if any of you like have kids at home, but yeah. Have your like foster kids if you're fostering, and like you guys have little butter fingerprints. Okay, my butter is melted, it's sizzling. So I'm going in with the asparagus now. And I'm gonna go in with those shallots. You can add your peas right now, your snap peas. I'm gonna wait on my peas. So not my snap peas. If you have snap peas, add those, but the sugar peas, I'm gonna wait on the frozen ones. I'm gonna add them a little bit later. If you already added yours, that's okay too. But I don't wanna cook the peas too much. And I know that the shallots are gonna take a little bit longer with the asparagus, so I'm gonna let that happen. So the vegetables that you're setting aside are going to be the garlic, and you're going to set aside the peas, the sugar peas. At this point, go ahead and give a nice sprinkle of salt. So nice sprinkle of salt over your veg that's cooking. And the reason we're doing this, so just like sugar, salt is also hygroscopic, so it's pulling out moisture. It's going to keep it from burning while it pulls out the moisture. So it's going to cook it without burning it or kind of crisping it up. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's spring in a pan. I love this. Spring in a pan.
Chef Jessica, Cheryl mentioned unsalted Kerrygold butter. Is there a best butter to use?
Oh, I love Kerrygold. Kerrygold, it's higher in fat. So Kerrygold is not an American brand. And in America, we have regulations on how much fat can be in our butter. And Kerrygold is not an American brand, so we can have more fat in it, which means more flavor. And Kerrygold is delicious. If you're adding Kerrygold butter and not salted butter, you're probably going to add a little bit more salt even than what I've added, because I added salted butter. So I added salted butter. If you're adding unsalted butter, add a little bit extra salt. But yeah, gosh, Kerrygold butter is good. Speaking of, since we're talking about butter, my mom did when I came back from ships at one point. I came back and I visited, and she had butter. And this is like what happens in my house, right? My mom had like 6 different kinds of butter that she'd gotten from like specialty stores and Trader Joe's and Costco and just from all over. And she lined them up, and we did a blind butter tasting where she like made us close our eyes, and we like tried each butter, and we had to rate it on a sheet of paper by like which one we liked the most and which one we liked the least. And Kerrygold was at the top, but Trader Joe's actually had a brand of butter that I think it was like a cultured butter that we liked even more. So I don't know if you guys do blind butter tastings, but in the Dawson house, we sure do. Okay, so it's steaming, which is great. It's going to be a few minutes though. If it starts to like brown or blacken, turn your heat down. That's not what we're looking for. We just want to like cook this so that it's past being like super crunchy. Okay.
Jessica, you've mentioned cooking on ships a couple times, and we have a question about that.
Yeah.
When cooking on ships, do you run out of ingredients quite a bit because you can't go out, and do you get good at improvising?
Oh yeah. But I've done catering before, and like because I worked on ships for America's Test Kitchen, I knew what the situation was going to be. But oh yeah, I can make almost anything with what we have. And you can see like the way I'm teaching you to cook too, and the way like we're going through these recipes, I'm not like rigid, right? Like add what you want, feel it with your heart. If you have something and don't have that, add this. So definitely. And like marshmallows, Benner, our hotel manager on my boats in Alaska, he forgot to get marshmallows, and he promised the guests a marshmallow like s'mores night. And so I made s'mores, like I made homemade marshmallows, which is one of the recipes I made at Grace, was a 3 Michelin restaurant in Chicago. That's something, I was there when I was like 17, and one of the things I made was these marshmallows. So I made those on the ships too. But yes, improvising is key.
A few other questions. I saw Lindsay just mentioned, do you watch Below Deck? I think that's a show. I don't watch that one. So could you tell us a bit about what it means when you say you cook on the ships?
Yeah. Yes, do watch Below Deck. I find it really intriguing and a really good mind pause. Let me grab my biscuits. 1 second. Oh yeah, these look great. Okay, this is much more the color I'm looking for. So I'm gonna show you. And they're so big, and mine didn't really have space in between for like them to be aerated, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna put mine in just a little bit longer to finish cooking. Probably like another minute. I'm gonna do 1 more minute. And I have turned my vegetables down just a little bit. So the veg I've turned down a little bit. I'm gonna add the peas now. So those sweet peas are gonna go in. Oh gosh, okay. Yes, Below Deck. I do watch Below Deck when I have time. And I do laugh because the drama on cruise ships is instrumentally larger than Below Deck. But I find it fun and interesting to watch. And the capacity that I'm on these boats, so the boats are 22 to 88 people, and I'm making dessert. And that's all I do because I'm making dessert for 12 hours a day, every day. So at breakfast, lunch, dinner, there's like multiple pastries. At breakfast, there are croissants, there are, and I get to make the menus. So it's really fun. And I can like coordinate with the chef. And if he's doing Italian day, I'll do like tiramisu. And then like for a cookie, I'll do biscotti. And I think that I make every day 6 or 7 different things for dessert, and I make the bread homemade every day. So I make 1 or 2 breads a day too. So it's not for the faint of heart, but it's so much fun. And like, I'm working for Uncruise right now, and they're such a good company to work for. Like, everybody knows each other and loves each other, and it's fun because everyone comes back. So as a new person, you come into this family of people. So when you're working that much, you want to love the people you're with. And I totally do. I love them. All right, so check your vegetables right now. And you might be getting a little bit of color. That's okay. Turn it down just a little bit. I am going to check my asparagus. Oh my gosh. Yum. Okay. That's so fresh. I'm adding a little bit more salt, so I'm going to adjust my seasonings right now. Oh gosh, it's so good. And it's really almost the perfect texture for me. So the perfect texture to me is it's not super crunchy. I see a lot of thumbs up, good. It's not super crunchy. It's kind of going towards, it's a little bit crunchy, but not super, right? We don't want this to be like you're eating asparagus raw. So this is the point that I'm gonna add my garlic, chopped garlic. And we're adding it towards the end because we want it to cook for about a minute, but we don't want to burn it because if you burn it, it's going to be bitter. And we're not looking for bitter here.
So we have a question from Megan about the pasta. Should the pasta be boiling if it's not fresh? I don't know, Megan, if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, no, I understand what she's saying. Yeah, so bring your water, I think I understand. So bring your water to boiling, and then just cook it for like 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, and it will be done. I haven't added mine yet. Ooh, it is boiling now. Okay, so my veg is done. I'm gonna show you. That is perfect. We have just a little bit of color. My asparagus is just the right amount cooked. The peas are hot all the way through, but they haven't like shriveled. Fantastic. Okay, my water is boiling. And before you add your pasta, everyone, I want you to season it like the sea. I want you to season it like an Italian mama. So go ahead, grab a lot of salt. and put it right in. And when you think you've added enough, add add a little more. And I see a couple of like shocked faces. And America's Test Kitchen actually did us the liberty of checking to see how much is actually absorbed by the pasta. And per portion, if you divide it into, like, if you're serving a pound to 4 people, you get like 1/4 teaspoon of salt or less per portion. I mean, it's so, not even 1/4. I think it's 1/8 teaspoon. It's so little, it's so minuscule, but if you add it now, you're adding less later. So if you're adding salt at the table, you actually end up adding more. So do yourself and your guests a favor and really, really season your pasta. Pasta water. Okay, so pasta's going in. Tagliatelle or fettuccine. We want something that's kind of nice and thick here. All in. If you break your pasta, this is another thing that chefs have like really passionate views about, like breaking your pasta or not breaking your pasta. I don't care as long as it tastes good. So if you feel like your pasta tastes good, do what you like. A lot of people too have kids, right? Or you're fostering, and like it can be hard to swirl all of that pasta. So yeah, if you're in Italy and you're having a Lady in the Tramp moment, leave your pasta whole. If you want to break it, break it. Do what feels good.
Jessica, Tammy wants to know what kind of salt you recommend for salting the pasta water. Should you use sea salt or regular?
Anything works. Anything goes. If you put your gazpacho in the freezer, it is cold now. I did. It's oh gosh, it's really yummy and it's perfect. Mine didn't like freeze through. Oh, it's so good. Okay, but I will pop it in the fridge. I'm gonna pop mine in the fridge. And do stir your pasta. So right after you add it, do stir it. People always want, and I'm coming back to answer that question, but stir your pasta first. I've been teaching for years now, and one of the biggest questions I get is always, how do I keep my pasta from sticking? Like, what is the secret trick? Can I put olive oil in it? And I'm like, no, don't waste your olive oil. Oh my gosh. All you have to do, the secret is you. You have to stir it, and you just have to stir it right when you add it, and make sure that you sporadically stir it so that you don't get clumps. But you are the secret to your pasta not sticking. So you just want to get water in between the pasta. Sea salt or regular salt, it doesn't matter. If you have sea salt and it's like a thicker sea salt, because they all also have sea salt that is as big as like a granulated salt, right? Does not matter. If it's the bigger granulates, it's actually less salty than the smaller granulates. So I would say add more of the bigger like sea salt if you have like chunky sea salt, but you can add any kind of salt, and I think you'll be happy. My preference on salt is pink Himalayan salt. And I have so few kind of things, right? Like I work with so many people who are cooking across the US, across the world, like big corporations. People have things, people don't. People are in cities or rural areas. And so I adapt, and I've learned to adapt. But one thing that I like to not adapt to, even when I got on the ship, I requested to have pink Himalayan salt. It's my favorite. I love to season with it. I love that it's pink. It brings me joy, but also I like small granulates, and I like that it's more natural. So that's one thing that personally as a chef, that's like, and I like Valrhona chocolate too. But those are my like 2 big things as a chef, where where I do request them on ships, and I do make sure that I have the few things that make me super happy and will bring you joy too on your plates. Can I cook without it? Yes. Do I prefer to? No. And my pasta is just kind of starting. So we're all going to be in a different space really soon. My pasta might be ready after yours, or it might be ready sooner. So I just want to walk you through what your steps are going to be. So when this comes off of the stove, you're going to grab a half of a cup of that water, just a half a cup, put it aside, dump the rest, put your pasta after you've strained it back into that big pot, add your vegetables that are cooked, add your creme fraiche, add your herbs, grate all of the cheese that you want in it, grate it in it, and then go ahead and add that pasta water and just stir, stir, stir. And it's gonna like come together really nicely. You don't need to add heat, everything's nice and hot. But that's going to be the flow. If you feel like it's cooled down too much, that's when you can add just a little bit of heat. But the thing about adding heat is once we've added cream, you're trying not to break it. So you don't want to break the cream. So just a really gentle amount of heat if you need to add that. And this is also like, while your pasta's boiling, you can start to get your salad ready, you know, like call someone, have them get the plates out, because this is your time to kind of move. So I'm gonna get my salad out. You guys, we're almost there. This has been a whole flow. This has been a very good flow. I'm impressed. And I will dress my salad now. I feel good about dressing my salad. So salad is being, oh gosh, it's so pretty.
Chef Jessica, someone asked about the whipped cream. Have we made it yet? I don't think we have.
Oh, we didn't. Thank you. Yeah, we need to make the whipped cream. Don't worry though. We're gonna get there. Whipped cream needs to happen. Why don't we do that? Are you guys in a good place to do whipped cream right now? Okay, I see a lot of thumbs up. Okay, great. Let's do that. So my salad's ready. I just want to show you my salad. Ah, it's so cute. It's so springy. It's so cute. Poppy seeds over it would be really nice. Okay, I'm grabbing the stuff for my whipped cream. It's super easy. And this is just so delicious. Salted honey, everything is delicious. So 1.5 cups of whipping cream goes in. 1.5. Then you're gonna add your honey, 4 to 6 tablespoons. And I know you got that amazing honey. I know they sent the honey. And boy, are you lucky. I cannot wait to get mine. Okay, so 4 to 6 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'll do 5. And then I'll taste it later and see if I want more. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Now I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. And all you do now is you whip it. And so I'm going to use a hand blender. And you don't want to make this butter, right? That's not what we're looking for. All we're looking for is that it's just been like, you can just start seeing streaks, and after that, like whip it for like 10 to 15 more seconds and it's perfect. Like you don't want something that's like sticking straight up. We're not doing like egg whites. We're not whipping egg whites to stiff peaks. This is whipped cream. We want this to be like really just a nice. Okay, I'm not done with mine yet, but like when you start hitting yourself with whipped cream and like your loved ones and your like walls, it's almost there. You're almost done. I'm gonna stir my pasta. Not there yet, but looking good. start eating that, you won't stop. So have like one, have one little bite and then tell yourself dinner's first.
Chef Jessica, are there any non-dairy substitutions that you can use in whipped cream that work?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure. I wish I could tell you. I'm not sure.
There is.
Ooh, tell us.
There is a coconut milk one you can do. And I don't.
With cornstarch? What's the thickness?
Yeah, I think it has coconut milk and cornstarch in it. I don't remember the recipe right now, but yes, you can.
Okay, awesome.
It doesn't get quite as fluffy, but.
Yeah. Good to know. Thank you. I'll use that on chips too, because I have a lot of people who increasingly I'm seeing like dairy allergies actually, which I know like 6 years ago, it was really like gluten allergies were picking up. And I think dairy allergies are also picking up for people. Okay, my pasta's almost done. So a note, I see people trying this. Amazing. A note on pasta, like al dente. A lot of people think al dente means like not done. Technically, it translates to the tooth. And I think so often people pull their pasta too soon. Al dente means it's completely done. It's chewy. It's completely done though, and you're not like gnawing on your pasta. So that's something to think about. Don't take your pasta off too soon. That's what I'd say.
We have a question from Jillian. She'd like to know, how do you accommodate all the different allergies and dietary needs when cooking for so many people? Do you default to vegan?
No, I don't. I think that's kind of mean. I'm one of the pastry chefs that I kill myself to make sure that people are getting exactly what they need and not more than what they need. So like if you have a dairy allergy, but you can have eggs, like I'm not going to give you something that's vegan. I'm going to give you something that's dairy free. So I've learned a lot on the ship because I come from restaurants where for the most part, we wouldn't accommodate dietary restrictions because we had set tasting menus. But I do it carefully and I've done a lot of research and I've tried a lot of different recipes and that's how I accommodate it. And I have like specific things for dairy free, specific things for vegan, specific things for gluten free. And I think that's important, especially when you have so few guests, is making sure that they're happy and accommodated. Okay. Almost there. So I think my pasta is going to almost be there. Oh yeah. And I can like feel it when I'm stirring it too. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. This pasta, it's so good. Okay, so I'm pulling half a cup of water now. Some of you might have done this, some of you might not have. Ooh, someone made the biscuits gluten-free and they said they're amazing. Woo, yes. Okay, great. And did you just use 1-to-1 flour, right? Kind of. Do you have your own special blend or do you use King Arthur?
We were almost out of 1-to-1, so we used a little bit of 1-to-1 and then some baking and added some xanthan gum.
Ooh, good job.
I just didn't have it at our grocery store.
That is just true chefdom.
They're very, very.
Okay, I love that you like didn't give in. You weren't like, oh, like I can't make this. You were like, okay, we're making this, and how are we doing it? Okay. So I am ready to drain my pasta. I've taken out the half cup. Of water. When you pour it away from yourself into the sink instead of towards yourself to avoid an unpleasant facial. we don't want. Okay. Pot is going back on the stove. I just give it like 1 or 2 shakes. Water is going to end up back in the pot, and I'm okay with that. Just a little bit. So now we're going to add our 1/2 cup of water. 1/2 cup of water. Our 2/3 of a cup of creme fraiche. If you didn't have creme fraiche, sour cream works. Greek yogurt works. It all works. I see some people eating. Oh, is it good? Gosh, you guys look happy. I'm ready to be where you are. Okay, 2/3 of a cup of creme fraiche is going in. I'm gonna put my parsley that I chopped up. This tarragon is going in. If you could only find fresh, you would use double the amount as dried, because dried has more potency. I'm gonna put my vegetables in. Oh gosh, and I could just eat these vegetables right out of the pan. And I'm really scraping the pan too, because I want to get any of the oil that's in that pan. Amazing. And then the Parmesan cheese, Parmigiano Reggiano, going in. I need my grater. I did, like, I cut off a little, you can see. It's like I'm a mouse. I wanted a little bit more class. I had a little more. It's so good. Okay. And then grate. I'm gonna grate onto my cutting board. It's just easier and quicker and safer to have like a secure surface where you're grating your cheese. And if you like have cheese where you're getting down to the bottom of it and you've like used almost all of it, don't be a hero. These graters are just too sharp. So don't be a hero and keep grating. Just get new cheese or use less or add chunks. That's what I would suggest. Okay, so here goes a generous cup. And maybe I'll add just a little bit more. And for anybody who's done this step, don't forget to get your salad ready. Kelly, how am I doing on time?
It is 7:41. So perfect.
Woohoo! Yes. Okay, great. All right, and for this, like I said, you really have to stir this. This is not something that you just like stir it once and you're done. Like I'm really stirring it to make sure that I'm making a sauce with this pasta and with the creme fraiche. So now I'm gonna give it a taste because I want to know before I serve people, is this good? Is this good? Is it properly seasoned?
Jessica, does this reheat well? I mean, I know everyone's probably gonna want to eat it tonight, but would it reheat if you had leftovers?
It will reheat. It might separate because of the dairy. It's not something I would suggest to make is like it's better the next day. Oh God. It's good. It's creamy. Add some cracked black pepper, you guys. Don't forget that. Okay. So I'm going to put together the meal. I'm going to show you what we've got. Give me just 1 minute to get everything ready over here. And then we're going to move this way. Okay. It's like the finale. Gosh. Okay. Give my counter a wipe. All right. We have our salad. So great. So our salad is here. I'm gonna grab the pasta.
Chef Jessica, Kim and Gary would like to know how you would add meat to this pasta dish.
You could absolutely cook the meat separately from the veggies, and then add it to the veggies, and then add it with, you could do ground beef, you could do chicken, you could do like really nice chicken. Yeah, you could add anything. And this is a good dish to do that with. Okay, let's see. I don't think, oh, my pasta is not, oh. Oh, that was ambitious. Wow, okay. Anyone else feeling ambitious? Okay, no, it looks great. Delicious, good. Okay, I'm gonna grate cheese. You knew I was gonna grate cheese on top, right? Okay, so I'm gonna grate cheese on top of this. What else do we have? What am I missing? We have the biscuits. Oh, the gazpacho. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh, that looks good. That looks good. Okay. Gazpacho. So the gazpacho is going to go into, I'm going to put in one of the small bowls. So not the cupcake bowls. Okay. And actually, like, mine is a little bit thick. I think it might be because it went into the freezer. But you can add a little bit more water to get it at more of like a thin consistency if you'd prefer. So I'm gonna go over with parsley. You can do sesame seeds. I know we saved a little bit of our coconut milk, so you can go over with a little bit of coconut milk. And that's so pretty, I love that. And it gives people a hint to what they're gonna have. Okay, last thing, I'm gonna show you the desserts. And then you're free to, we're gonna say our goodbyes, and you're gonna be free to eat. But give me just 1 minute. So the way that you're gonna serve dessert is you're just gonna break the biscuits in half. There's nothing fancy about it. So just break them in half. They might not even go completely in half. They might be uneven, and that's okay. Go with your strawberries on top, and they should be really nice and juicy now. Strawberries on top. Oh yeah. And then pour the juices from the bottom onto it. Oh yeah. And then go with your whipped cream. So whipped cream, gonna like arrange. And this honey whipped cream, it's everything, salted honey. I'll bring you closer so you can see. Salted honey whipped cream right over the top, and then go ahead and top it. Oh, yum. And you have your strawberry shortcake. Oh my God. Okay. Questions. Does anybody have any questions? No, too much eating is going on. That's what I think. I'm gonna try this. Ooh. Don't do that to yourself because you'll do dessert first. Oh my gosh. Thank you all so much. I'm gonna turn it over
Great. Lisa, Lisa Seymour will be joining us in a second, but Jessica, I just want to say thank you. What a wonderful experience. It looked so much enjoyable. It looked so tasty. And I think everybody had a lot of fun. So we are very, very grateful for you tonight. Plus, my new favorite sentence is whipped cream needs to happen. So I'm going to have that in one of our newsletters pretty soon. So thank you once again. But before we, although some people may be eating already, before we eat some of the delicious things we have made together, please welcome Lisa Seymour, Program Director at LSSI Rockford. Lisa knows firsthand the difference that LSSI's foster care programs make in the lives of children every day. Lisa, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you, David, and thank all of you all for allowing me to come in and see the amazing dishes that you all have made. And I won't talk too long, but I just really wanted to come in. As you all have watched a video earlier, you see that LSSI is fully committed to supporting our foster parents and the children we serve. Many of the children that we serve and that is in our care experience a great level of trauma, and there is a great need for our therapeutic foster care program and that support. LSSI is meeting that need with therapeutic foster care, or as we like to affectionately say, TFC. Our TFC is a structured therapeutic model that is team focused. It takes all of us. It takes a therapist. It has a skills coach. It has a caseworker. It has the foster parents, because yes, you as the foster parent, you're part of the team themselves, and it has a team leader as well, and everyone comes together. We partner to ensure that the child that is placed in their home has what they need and has the support they need to help to change their behaviors as they process what they have gone through. We create a unique treatment plan for each child, because one shoe doesn't fit everybody. And each one represents a chance for a fresh start. Particularly the children in our therapeutic foster care program, they have an approach that is specifically aimed at helping them find the tools, the skills they need to achieve success and thrive in a home setting. You can't put a price tag on that. There is no price tag. There's no amount of money that helps us to ensure the stability, the safety, and a nurturing environment for a child in our therapeutic foster care program or in our programs as a whole. You can't put a price on unconditional love, and all of our children, every child that we serve. And if I get a little shaky because I'm passionate about what we do, every child, they're our children, they're our babies. Every child deserves and are worthy of these basic rights: to have a safe place to come, to have a place in a caring environment that can help them process, what am I going through at this moment? Why is this going on? And so each day we see firsthand. I get to see firsthand. I am a hands-on person. I always tell the team, program director, that's just the title. I'm firsthand. I'm in it with everybody. I get to see firsthand just an inspiration of how second chances do affect and bring much life to the children in our care. And in turn, in the eyes of parents who get to watch them grow and become and learn and become so successful through what they have experienced throughout their therapeutic program. If this program is something, if what I've stated, what you heard, what you watched, if this is something that touches your heart just as much as it touches mine, we would love for you to partner with us and help us to support this program. I ask that you will please consider to make a donation to our therapeutic foster care program. This act of I need to calm down. Act of philanthropic support has been critical to this program. We couldn't do it without our donors. Understand this, we are a team, and you are a part of that team. Enabling it to grow from 3 teams, we now have 5 teams that is not just reaching in our northern region and in Cook, we've gone all the way to our central region and started a team there because we see just how important this therapeutic foster care program is. This program came because every child does not do well in a residential setting. They need a home setting. They need that one-on-one love, someone to let them know that, hey, I see you. I see what you're going through, and I'm going to help you through it. So if you would like to make a difference, if you would like to help us to continue to make differences in the lives of the children we serve through our therapeutic program, why don't you visit lssi.org/Fling to make your donation. You can find the link in the chat. Someone's putting it in there right now, possibly. And check your email for the link to the video you saw tonight and ways that you can continue to support LSSI. With your donation, you can help us to continue to make difference in so many children's lives, to let them know. I always say this is just one chapter in your book. This is not how your story or your book will end. Thank you again for joining us, and may God continue to bless you. Amen.
Lisa, you're amazing. Thank you for all of your beautiful work and how you support our ministry. It just means so much to our organization. And thank you to everyone. Maybe people are eating already, but thank you for being here tonight. Please check your inbox for an email to learn more about how you can make a difference through LSSI's Therapeutic Foster Care Program. And we put the link in the chat. I think there's a request for photos because it looks so good. I'm looking at Chef Jessica right now with her salad. It looks just wonderful. So thank you to everyone and good night. I'm always available to finish any desserts. So, but thank you once again.